What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, as you can tell by the title of the video, and obviously you see the new engine here, you know we picked up a new engine for the single cab. And let me tell you how hard it was to find a good engine and a good person to buy an engine from. But I'm not going to get into details of that because I can go on for days, the conversations I had with people. But anyways, although the motor does look like it's ready to go, it looks pretty, it looks like, you know, it's ready to go on the truck. We still got to do a few more things to it. We did pull out the heads ready, send them out to get checked and all that. New gaskets, new lifters, new everything on the heads, top end pretty much. We still got to go through the front and replace the oil pump with the high pressure one. We're going to replace oil diverter back here, a few other things. But yeah, let me just get into it and get this thing done. Alright, so there's the old motor. Right now we're going to be stripping it for parts. We're going to take out the water pump. We're going to reuse that. AC bracket. And motor mounts are shot, so we're going to leave those there. We're going to be replacing them with brand new ones. We're going to take off the sensors, you know, clean them up, whatever. I already started replacing some seals. Here's just some of the stuff, you know, we're going to be replacing on this engine. We got the oil pan gasket. We got the rear main seal. And a few other seals and gaskets, spark plug wire, spark plugs, camshaft retainer, the oil barbell diverter right there. So, those are the two things I want to talk about. If you guys are having a loss of oil pressure and you can't figure it out, I know most people will tell you it's an O-ring on the pickup tube for the oil pump. In most cases, yes, they are correct. But at the same time, you could be having issues with the barbell diverter right there. I'll be showing you how to install that, whatever, how to remove it. It gets worn down over time. The OEM one is made out of plastic, and over time, you know, like I said, it gets worn down and oil starts seeping through, and that's where you lose your oil pressure. Also, inside this white bag, I'll show you when I get there, but I got the camshaft retainer, and that retainer goes back here. You can see a bolt right there on top. If that camshaft retainer is leaking oil, because there's a little gasket inside of it, that could be part of why you're losing oil pressure as well. So if you have it uncovered like this, you might as well replace it as well. Like I said, spend the extra money, do it the right way. Before you go ahead and remove the timing chain and the timing chain sprocket, you do want to make sure your dot here is lined up with the top dot. Both sprockets got to line up before you go ahead and remove, you know, these three 10mm bolts. After you remove them, you can just pop it off. And one thing I do want to point out, if your chain is really sloppy, see, like this one's not too bad. If it's really bad, or you've noticed your sprocket's really worn down, you do want to replace it. Always inspect that first. But ours, we're just going to go ahead and roll with it. It doesn't look too bad. So once we do that, I'll show you the camshaft retainer. Once you take off your sprocket and chain, you're going to have the camshaft retainer right here. 4 bolts holding it on. Alright guys, then once you take off 4 bolts, you just pull this off, pry it off. Alright, so here we got the camshaft retainer side by side. Obviously, that's the one that came off. New one, you can see the new one has a little groove to the gasket there. Compared to this one's just flat all the way around. So it just kind of shows, you know, the gasket was worn down. Maybe it was leaking, maybe it wasn't, who knows. But it was getting to that point, right? Alright guys, so we're at the back of the engine now, and we're going to be replacing that barbell diverter right there. GM made them out of plastic. It's an orange thing you see right there. And we're going to be replacing it with the billet aluminum one. Be showing you how to install it and how to remove this one. Pretty simple. Get yourself a screw and just try to pretty much make a hole right in the center. And I know what you guys are probably thinking. Why don't you just use a drill? Well, a drill, you know, I don't want it to mess up anything because, you know, at least with the hand screwdriver, you got control of this thing. See, and that's all you pretty much do. With the drill, you just never know. It can damage the lip right here, and you don't want to damage the lip. Now you want to make sure that thing is pretty clean before you put the new one on. Now here we have, obviously, the new one compared to the plastic one. The plastic one looks like it has a lot of crap on there. So, I'm going to go ahead and install it now. Now, you want to make sure you lube up the inside of the hole right there. Also, you want to lube up your barbell diverter. Make sure you lube up that O-ring pretty good. Take it easy. And then just kind of work it in there. Don't mind the glove. Just like that. Make sure it's flush. Alright guys, so I'm getting ready to install these camshaft sensors back in the engine. And I wanted to point out, I know I mentioned it to you guys last time when I redid my motor on my 05 Sierra. I was chasing a leak. I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was the rear main. It wasn't that. It kept on leaking, and it was a pretty bad leak. It turned out it was the O-ring on the camshaft sensor. And I know a lot of people, what they'll do, they'll just replace the sensor itself with some aftermarket one. And me, as I mentioned to you guys before, I like to stick with OEM. So I just checked these two sensors out, and they're OEM. So what I did, I just replaced the O-rings on them. They're pretty hard to find. I'll put a link down below to where you can find them. If you guys are having the leak and it seems like it's a rear main seal, and let's say you replace it and it doesn't fix the issue, more than likely it's going to be the seal on this camshaft sensor. Alright, so as you guys saw, we did just install the pickup tube from Melling. It is recommended you install a new one when upgrading your oil pump. You never know what kind of crap could be stuck in that pickup tube, especially if it's a stock one, the one we off from factory. A lot of people don't do it, but this engine's not for me. It's actually for my cousin, as you guys know. And I'm trying to do everything right to the best of my ability, so, you know, we upgraded it. Right now we're just getting ready to install the oil pan back on the engine, and yeah, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Alright, so as you guys saw, the engine was pretty much put back together already. New motor mount, cleaned up a couple of things. The water pump was pretty filthy as well. A whole bunch of buildup from over the years. Took me a while to clean that. I could have just slapped it on the way it was, but, you know, me, I like the work to speak for itself, so I just couldn't see myself doing that. But you can see this engine definitely looks a lot better than the one we took out. A lot cleaner. Cleaned up a whole bunch of things on it. Coil packs, intake manifold. Took a while, more than what it should have, but you know what? Like I said, I like the work to speak for itself. But yeah, this thing is pretty much ready to go, guys. We're just going to go ahead and attach our lift, and in it goes.